For this episode, we want to give a shout out to Ben with Creefall Bagel Company. Creefall Bagel Company is boiling and baking fresh sourdough bagels every morning. They're located in Creefall at 4825 Trousdale Drive, Suite 228. Go check them out. Welcome to another episode of the Nashville Dads. This week, we have on Bryce Biel of Legacy at Carbon. We talk about coaching kids, his new pregnancy, and moving to Nashville. We hope you enjoy. Here we are, guys. Here's another episode of the Nashville Dads. For this one, I'm flying solo without Justin because he double booked himself. So on the episode today is Bryce. Is it Biel? Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yep.
Bryce, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You are new to the area. You just moved from Chicago-ish, right?
Yes.
Nice.
Chicago-ish. Yes.
I feel like, well, it's like Chicago's such a big city that if someone's like, I moved here from Chicago, I'm like, but where did you actually live? Because Chicago is not where most people actually live.
Yes, and it's the easiest way to say you're from Chicago, even though it's a suburb where I'm from. Yeah. So it just makes life a lot easier, unless, like, you knew right away.
Yeah.
It's like, where'd you live? It's like, I know where that is. All right, that works.
Are you Cubs or White Sox?
I
don't know if I've ever met a real White Sox fan.
Cubs. Okay. I mean, I don't watch too much baseball, but if I do, then I'm going to float towards Cubs.
Okay.
But then some of my friends will get pissed at me because they're White Sox fans. So it kind of floats the borders of I'm just going to support my friend watching the game, and that's what it is because I don't watch baseball that much.
You don't really care either way.
Yeah. I mean, I love sports, but baseball is really not my thing. No. So
what sports did you play growing up?
I played every sport, but I played in college. I played college football. And then
were you a lineman?
Yeah, D lineman. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. What where did you go to college at?
Milliken, and then
like in Southern Illinois? Like
Decatur, Illinois.
Yep. Oh man.
Yep, we were down there. We were down there.
If anyone listening to this podcast knows where Decatur, Illinois is, then I will be very impressed. It is
soybean.
I had a friend whose grandparents lived there, and we went and saw a show in Springfield. So we stayed in Decatur and then drove up to Springfield. And if you want the definition of a town that used to have factory jobs and now doesn't, but the town still exists, I feel like that's what Decatur mostly was.
Yep, and the smell of soybeans on a hot, sunny day.
Yeah.
You don't really get used to it.
You don't. My dad lived there for a little bit.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, what'd you do? Swam in the river. What'd you do after that? Went home.
Yeah.
Did you do anything else? My dad had a job.
Yeah. I loved Milliken and I loved my experience there, but it's a bubble.
Yeah.
Like you stay in your bubble. Mm-hmm. They tell you tell you to, but on the outside of that, there's not much there.
There's not a lot going on.
Nope.
So
You're in literally the most central point of Illinois.
You are.
So the soybean smell is, you taste it when you wake up every morning.
Yep. I feel like also Illinois is a funny state to me because you've got Chicago, which is like a pretty hefty section of it. But then you have the rest of the state, which is a pretty good sized state. But people only ask you about like the most northern point of the state.
Yes. No one goes.
No.
I have friends that live in like Carbondale down there. I don't think I've ever had a conversation about Southern Illinois ever.
No.
So I'm not shocked because everything really is.
It kind of is.
Up north.
Yeah.
I've met, I think, a couple people here from somewhere in Southern Illinois, but other than that,
nope.
There's no generalized conversations.
It's not. My friend's grandparents would always complain about whoever was running for governor in Illinois because they would always just focus on Chicago. And they'd be like, what about the rest of us? And I'd be like, that's fair.
Yeah. I miss Illinois, but Tennessee's a lot better.
What brought you down from Chicago to Nashville?
So my current job, I'm a director of sports performance at Legacy at Carbon in Franklin. So that brought me down here. My partner, Mark and Katie Lobliner, convinced me to a change of scenery.
Yeah.
I came down once and it was literally, I think it was this weekend, or it was was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday was the first time I came down. So it's been a year since I first officially came down. So that brought me down here, and, we train youth athletes, middle school, high school, college, professional. I have My partner is a IFBB pro, so he's a pro bodybuilder.
Oh, cool.
That's his hobby. That's what he likes to do.
My hobbies are like listening to music and playing music.
Yeah,
that's a little different.
That's his hobby. But he's probably his nickname's the Machine.
Okay.
I mean, he's a legit machine when it comes to business.
He's the guy. Whenever you do videos on your Instagram, he's the guy. Yeah,
Mark.
Yeah.
So it's crazy seeing how much that man does.
Yeah,
it's absurd.
Okay,
in a good way, because it's, it pushes you to a different level.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been fun being able to see things happen and how he approaches things. So it's a lot different, but yeah. That's really why I'm down here.
Cool.
Never thought I would leave Illinois.
Yeah. With
my family there, her family, and how big I made my gym.
Oh, okay.
We'd have, I'd say 300, 400, 500 kids rolling a week.
Oh.
So it was a lot of people. And
yeah,
I created such a family atmosphere within it and a culture within it that it was very, very hard to actually take a step back and leave.
Sure.
But I knew this was the better opportunity for me, so to speak. And it's opened a lot of doors, and it continues to do. So it's been fun. But yeah, that's really why I'm here.
Nice.
Nothing too crazy.
Nashville has a lot of a surprising amount of athletes that live here, especially baseball related, actually.
Oh my God. They're
like a lot of baseball athletes live here. Like I think Ben Zobrist is here. R.A. Dickey used to be here.
Yep.
That's all I got off the top of my head.
I can't think off the top of my head, but there are
it's a surprising amount. I think Aaron Rodgers bought a house down here, like in
somewhere like around Franklin, I think. I can't. It's the amount of like celebrities and athletes is crazy.
It is. But it's still to me like it's a good reminder of how big of a town Nashville is becoming.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh no, like Aaron Rodgers is choosing to move here. Other athletes are choosing to move here. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Steph Curry has a house here.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what I've heard that a couple times, but it's funny because, you don't realize how big Nashville is becoming as an outsider.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah.
But then you don't really look into, I never really looked into, I didn't know Franklin or Brentwood or, Spring Hill. I didn't know any of those places.
Yeah.
I thought it was just kind of like Chicago and the suburbs.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, go check it around. And once we came down, it was kind of game over after the first day.
Yeah.
I saw everything. I was like,
I'm going to move here.
I don't think we're going back because it's snowing in Chicago April 30th, and it's 75, 80 degrees here.
Yep, pretty much.
So
you just have to get used to the humidity and the new allergens, and then you'll be okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's cold, hot. I'll sweat no matter what.
But also Chicago is such a form of bitter cold that it's really hard to communicate it to other people.
Yes.
It is literally I feel like the buildings make it even windier. So you're literally standing there walking along Michigan Avenue and you're just like, oh my God, this isn't fun.
Yeah.
This isn't cute.
Oh yeah. And the wind, that doesn't help either. It's been awesome here. I'm very lucky that it's happened this way, but man, does the weather make a lot of difference.
It does. In your day-to-day life.
Oh my God, it does. It's unbelievable. Especially when you have a fake knee.
Did you blow out your knee while playing?
Yeah, and just multiple surgeries. Yeah, in life. So just the weather alone, it's like, oh my God, the cold weather's not making me stiff. This is awesome.
Yep.
I can't believe this is happening right now. But yeah, that's, I say, the background of the story why we're here. So it's
nice.
A little bit different.
Yeah. Did you and you ran a gym whenever you're in Illinois?
Yep.
Sweet. What got you into that world?
I think it was sports in general.
Yeah.
That got me started on that path. But let's see, what was that? I think 7th grade is when I had my first knee injury. So I tore my meniscus, had surgery, did it again in 8th grade. So it was a kind of a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
And I knew right away the second time, I'll never forget, I did a layup in basketball, landed completely fine.
Yeah.
There was no issue, but I felt something in my knee and I was like,
there it goes.
Yep. I called my mom and said, hey, we got to go to the doctor again. I tore my meniscus.
Yeah.
And she thought I was completely lying.
Yeah.
And to this day, I think she still thought I was full of crap. but I tore it again. And then that's kind of how it all started.
Okay.
Someone, the guy I first lifted with, he helped me out a unbelievable amount. And then it kind of just took off from there.
Okay.
That was really, I grew really fond of, just lifting in general as a kid. And how it helped me just, I'd say, build myself personally.
Sure.
And I think the biggest thing was just whether you play sports or not, like you're teaching someone how to be confident in themselves within that, we'll say, aspect of training.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if you play a sport or not, but if you can be, if you can better yourself physically and mentally, easiest place to do it is in a gym. But the hardest part is people walking into the gym.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very two-way road because some people hate it and that's fine. And then some people love it.
Yeah.
So how do you get the people that are in between and don't like it? How do you get them to step foot into it? So that's where I started to grow really, really, I started to put my thought process into what I like to do as time went on with sports. And I always enjoyed lifting and took an internship. Loved that. And then it was training kids, and I kind of fell in love with that process.
Yeah.
But I thought I wanted to go to college strength and conditioning, so I was at Northwestern for like a year, and I coached college football at Elmhurst, which is a suburb of Chicago as well.
Okay.
And at that point, I was like, you know what? I hate college sports right now. And now it's not because of anything. It's just, at Northwestern, you're dealing with the 1% of everyone.
Yeah.
And you really I have no enjoyment out of working with someone that's already actually good and is a physical specimen and is is a genetic freak, so to speak, where working with kids and, that's where I know I'm probably really, really, I'm a lot better than anyone here. Yeah. Just the way it is. But that's where I found where I'm really good at being able to communicate with kids and build relationships. And that's what I love, because if you can take, we have a girl at our gym currently, plays no sports, got into a sport. She loves it, but I don't think she would have done it if she wasn't confident in herself with what she's started to do. And that's the fun part. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really easy to underplay that if you are a Division I athlete, you're a good athlete.
Yes.
And if you are like a Division III, Division II, not that you're less than, but there's probably more room for growth.
Yeah.
And especially with kids, you're like, all right, man, I would imagine with kids, you're mostly like, here's your fundamentals. Here's how you get set so you don't hurt yourself, and you do this correctly.
Yes.
And you get to to be able to teach that. It's really nice to teach something where someone can build upon it as opposed to trying to tweak.
Yes, and that's the biggest thing is, everyone looks at fitness and it's very one-sided. Mm-hmm. It really is. But if you can get a kid to enjoy that process and not be, some people put fitness, I'll say environment-wise, as kind of a negative environment sometimes, just the way that people coach or interact with people.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not like that. I'm a very positive, a positive affirmation, positive environment. It's always been that way ever since I had my own gym, where if you can get kids to enjoy the positive experience and enjoy the process, even though, sometimes it is going to suck.
Yeah, of course.
It is.
Yeah. Or you're not going to be good at it the first 5 times you do it.
And it's, continually to push kids along in a positive way where they develop, the love to do it, and I'm not even competing. That's the completely different part. But if you can get a kid to enjoy it and start to see the growth they have physically and mentally, you can change a kid. I mean, you can change a kid's life. There's no doubt about it. I've seen it happen all the time where, little Johnny is very quiet, likes to, we'll just say, sit in the back corner, doesn't talk, doesn't do anything. And you start to see him physically just build himself. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This kid has gone from literally sitting in the corner, not saying a word, to, oh my God, he talks so much now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the fun part.
Yeah.
That's the rewarding part, is seeing the change in kids and the maturity. And I think, obviously generations are all different, right? Everyone blames it on the generation, when in reality, I think it's parents. There's the whole multitude of things.
Yeah.
But if you can get a kid to understand like what work ethic is, I think you solve a lot of problems.
Yeah. It's also trying to get your kid to like, I have a 7 and a 5-year-old, and trying to keep up with them whenever they get frustrated with stuff, to be like, hey, sometimes it's okay to take a break and come back to this later. Sometimes can you push through? Can you try it again? Do you think you'll get to this next time?
Yep.
Trying to figure out how to do that without adding shame to it is really difficult.
Yep.
Because the person already doesn't think they can do it. And you're trying to convince someone they can do something they don't believe they can.
Yep.
And the results are proving to them that they can't yet.
Yes.
And you're like, no, man, you can do this. I just believe in you. And looking at someone and saying, I believe in you. That doesn't, if you looked at me and I said, I believe in you, Devin, I'd be like, all right, what does that mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. So it's a very difficult balance.
Yes. And it's a very strange one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Because you're, like I'm working with everyone else's kids.
Yeah.
Obviously I have my own, but I'm working with all of their kids and saying, hey, like you can do this, but we need to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Before we get there. And it's like, well, I want to get there now. It's like, no.
That's not how it works.
And I said, and I tell people all the time, it's not the way life works either.
No,
you're going to have to go to A, B, and C before you get to Z. And
this is how it
I'm
works.
sorry, but that's life.
I feel like I play guitar, and my guitar teacher, he'd be like, all right, what song, like you want to play guitar? What type of music do you want to play? And I tell him like, cool. Well, you have to start with this. You don't just start playing Stairway to Heaven. That's not song number 1. You don't start at Freebird. I'm sorry, man, you don't. So it's if you can communicate to someone, not even just kids, that like, hey, the steps you're taking today. There's a mantra I really like that's basically, if you're willing to do it today, you'll be willing to do it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So that can work for negative things and positive things. If I do a negative thing today, I'm probably going to be willing to do it tomorrow. If I'm willing to sit down with a guitar and just strum along and play and get comfortable with it for an hour today, I'm going to be more willing to do it tomorrow. Yep. So what habit are you forming? And is that a habit you want to form? And when I view it like that, I remove a lot of shame from it.
Yep.
Because if you're like, what you're doing is bad today, then I'm going to be like, well, I don't know what to do with that. But if you're like, hey, this is what you did with your day. Does that build you into someone you want to be, or does it not? Yeah. Cool. What can you tweak to be more of the person you actually want to become?
Yep. And I think it's involved in everything, whether it's guitar, whether it's, anything with what I do with kids and performance, I think it all adds up. Yeah. And I think that's trying to get people to understand how it, meshes together.
Yep.
Is I do understand I'm trying to get kids to perform at a higher level than they probably ever thought they could.
Yeah.
And that's the expectation and the standard that I have. And getting kids to understand what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
But not putting it's like, you can't do that. I'm never going to tell a kid you can't do that.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a fine line of, rooting, Johnny's dreams and crushing it.
Yeah.
And then being way too confident in it and saying like, this will absolutely happen. So it's
it's very delicate.
A fine line. And no kid should be told they can't go do something. No. They're kids. And that's the fun part is, you have kids with big aspirations and it's, okay, you want to do this, you want to go play here, but we're taking only one step when we need to be taking 4 a week. Yeah. So getting kids in line with the reality of what needs to happen or what they need to do is the harder part because they already think they have the answers, which all kids think they do. I still think I do with my parents. So I understand that, but it's it's a interesting, equation.
It is
and I think that's what has helped me as I only have a 2-year-old, so he's not too crazy yet.
No, not yet. But he'll get there.
Yeah, I mean he is me.
Okay.
He is he's a daredevil.
Yeah.
He's he is totally me. It's bad. I know it. Everyone knows it, that we're identical as it comes.
There's a Ben Folds lyric that's like, and you're so much like me, I'm sorry.
Yes, yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, he has the spitting image, like the truest blondest hair and the blue eyes, and that's exactly how I was. And all the same, I'll say, examples of jumping off a couch and landing on something you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, and just going for it.
Yep, that's 100% me still to this day. So apple didn't fall far from the tree.
Yep.
So
that stuff is funny to me though, because I'm like, how did you learn this? Because I didn't jump off the couch and teach you. You just somehow knew to just see what would happen. You're an expert of testing gravity, and I applaud you. But who told you this was an option?
Yep. Oh yeah, all the time. So I think it's in reality. I think it's working with kids. I'm hoping and I'm praying that in the long run it'll help me, obviously, as a father.
Yeah, you'd hope.
So it's always a question I have for myself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, everyone does, but working with kids so closely over the last, 12, 13 years, I have a baby girl coming on the way.
Yeah, congrats, by the way.
Thank you. So it's an interesting dynamic because I've worked with, thousands of girls. I've worked with thousands of guys, but they've never been my own kids.
Yep.
They're always someone else's kids.
Yep.
So that'll be really interesting as time goes on to see what happens. Especially I'll say with the setting that I'm in. But I think for me, I'm hoping based off of, I'll say my last 12 or 13 years in Illinois, where I got really lucky in Illinois.
Okay.
I was so lucky. It was unbelievable. And the reason I say that is I've had such good families and kids that I've worked with. And I'm not saying like athletes, like they're unbelievable, which like I got lucky in that too, but all those kids, I mean, I still talk to all of them.
Yeah.
Still talk to families, but they're always checking in on my son and my wife. So it's an interesting dynamic with how much we did and what we did during that time, but to see it kind of, I'll say in the role of, mentorship, where those kids are now, I'll say the kids here now are going to be what my kid sees literally every day at a gym.
Sure. Yeah.
So, having good examples all around, which we already do with our kids. So it's interesting how the tides turn, because usually I'm at the forefront of it, but now it's like, well, it's still going to be me, but he's going to be around people in a gym, every day.
Yeah.
How is he going to respond to those high school kids?
Yeah.
Because they're going to see him grow up over time. So it's an interesting dynamic with what I do.
Well, I mean, I feel like when you train people, you have to get pretty involved in someone's life to actually be good at it.
Yeah.
There's it's not a very casual thing. If you let someone train you, you've got a pretty intense. Usually, I feel like if it's a good, you can get a pretty intense relationship.
Yeah.
With them.
And I think I think in anything, like, whether it's sales, whatever meeting you're having, is if you don't understand the client you have or the person you're making that sale to, you're going to run into a lot of roadblocks. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's how do I get to know someone on, the client / trainer side, or client / I'll say just business side, but you want to know the ins and outs, but you don't want to ask, absurd questions. You're just trying to see how they work through things.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to, I'll say, challenging or adverse scenarios. When it comes to, I'll say, training, you'll see someone's true colors pretty quickly,
usually,
of how they respond.
Yep.
And it's either I hate you or I love you because you did that.
Yeah.
But I really end up hating you because now my body hurts.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So it's interesting because you really need to understand like the person in and out.
Yeah. And it's really, how I usually frame that is how you deal with failure and pain usually is where your true colors come out. Yep. And you usually don't find out your true colors until you look back and you're like, oh, that's who I really am. Okay. I should have been a lot nicer.
Yeah.
So
it's always interesting because you get, and I know it's not people's true colors when we're doing something terrible.
Yeah.
But it's funny how to see, I won't say it's funny, but it's interesting to see how people start to change their mindset when they get through something, even if it's not something that's crazy difficult, but it was challenging at first, and they can complete it, then you start to see how they react. And that's where I think you can build upon your relationship with people. And, I try to find out everything I possibly can. I'll say, we'll just bring up Johnny. Johnny's the easy one. Even though Johnny is millions of people. Mm-hmm. I obviously want to know the ins and outs of Johnny, how he works, how he reacts to certain things, in a positive, negative way. What happens when it does get hard? Mm-hmm. What are the scenarios that kind of he goes through, or I'll say like the mental side of it. And then obviously everything with the family. Yeah. Brothers, sisters. Then I learned it from my dad. My dad was an orthodontist.
Oh, okay.
He had, he'd go into his office and, the client folder, but he'd have, every time they'd come in for appointment, he'd say, hey, Johnny had a baseball game, said he hit 3 home runs. His next game is, next week. Yeah. And then he'd go back the next time they come in and have that conversation and ask about that game or how he's done since, where I do the exact same thing. Yeah. Where anything from family members, mom, dad, whatever I can find out, there's always notes about it. Yeah. And there's got to be like over probably 1,000, manila folders that have all my chicken scratch all over it with whether it's sports, family events, whatever's going on in their life, where it's all on that folder.
Do you have a pretty good memory, or do you have to write it down to remember it?
Oh, I got to write it down.
Okay.
I have a terrible memory.
I have a very creepy memory. I used to work at a dentist office, so I'll see people in public, and I'll remember what their last appointment was. I haven't worked at that dentist office in 5 years, and I can't mention it to them because it's breaking HIPAA.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sitting there and like, I wonder how your front crown, Devin, you can't ask that question. You can't walk up to that person and ask about their root canal. Okay. You can't. Yeah. So it's, the gift of memory can be a bit of a curse because you find yourself in situations where you're like, hey man, how's your, nope, Devin, they don't know who you are.
Yep. You
remember their birth date and everything about them. And it is really weird that this is who you are. So here you go.
I cannot. Yeah. My memory is terrible. I have to write everything down.
But at least you admit it to yourself.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. My wife knows it too. It's like, did you go do this? I said, I don't remember any of that.
I had really good intentions to do that. If I didn't do that, my intentions were really good. And
every day. Every day.
What age groups do you work with?
The youngest I'll say is 9. Okay. Now that is always a hot topic.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is
my knowledge of gym life is non-existent.
Oh, so, it's okay. It's okay. I mean,
educate me.
Most people will come up with the conversation of if you train your kids, it'll stunt their growth.
Yes.
When in reality, it's not true.
Okay.
And science proves it. Okay. Now, the only way that truly can happen is if the person you're working with is that terrible at their job.
Okay.
And they're putting them in a disposition and essentially they're at risk of getting injured.
I gotcha.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, if you think of a baby, a baby does tummy time to start.
Yes.
So, and then the next thing they lift is the head.
Yeah.
So as that process goes on and, I've sat there and I've literally taken notes on my own child of what is going on.
Yeah.
Just because this conversation always comes up.
Yeah.
And, they'll start to go on their forearms. They'll start to, get in a quadruped position. So knees and hands.
Yeah.
And then obviously they start just going all over the place at that point, starting to learn how to stand and brace and, with an object or without, and obviously so on, where it's at that point, they're technically lifting something.
I gotcha.
Even though it's themselves. And then we can go into the sport world where it's, youth baseball is all over the world. Mm-hmm. I'd say you start playing youth baseball at like 4, 5.
Sure. Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a weighted bat.
Sure.
You are technically creating force with that and your body. So you are technically lifting.
Gotcha.
So it gets a little nitty and gritty, but in reality, if you can teach a kid how to move correctly, it's going to help them really far down the line.
Yeah.
As time goes on. And it's It always gets brought up. Always.
Well, and it sounds like your point is basically like, yeah, if I pick up a bat like 20 times in a day, and then I'm like, well, I shouldn't lift things because I'm too young. You'd be like, but you just lifted something.
Yeah, or
like 30 times.
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? What's the difference between you lifting a barbell and you lifting that bat?
Yeah. So, and we'll go through like the
Gotcha,
corrective process of, teaching kids the fundamentals of everything, how to move before weight actually gets involved in the equation.
Yeah.
And in reality, like at that point in age, like you're just trying to teach kids as best you can when it comes to movement and doing it right. And at the same time, creating fun, positive environment. And at the same time, how many kids get injured nowadays? It's absurd.
Is it really?
Oh my God. It's terrible. The amount of ACLs and, anything else. So getting kids to do it right now,
I gotcha.
It only lessens the risk of injury later on.
So you would be trying to teach like the fundamentals of like, no, you have to move your body like this because if you don't, you put stress on your knee like this. If you put stress on your knee like that, you're going to tear an ACL. Whenever you tear your ACL, then you're having 2 surgeries by the time you're in 8th grade, like I did.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you see someone squat and their knees cave in, that's considered valgus, where your knees obviously go in towards your big toe. So if you're squatting and your knees literally touch each other, it's a predisposition for ACL tears.
Oh, okay, cool.
So getting kids to understand how to do things right and move is the biggest priority I have, because at the end of the day, you can't play your sport if you're injured.
And you also have a personal experience with it, where if someone maybe would have told you, like, hey, man, whenever you run, if you're coming down from a layup, try to make sure your foot is planted like this. You wouldn't have gone through 2 MCL surgeries by the time
meniscus, and then so on. There's a lot more.
There's
like 7 or 8 more surgeries after that.
But that's good to know. Like your heart behind it is like, oh man, I personally know what it's like to not know how my body works, and I know all the pain that can come with that. So if I can teach 5 kids how to not tear their ACLs, that'd be great.
And at the end of the day, it's everyone wants to live a long, healthy life. Yeah. So if you can learn how to move now, obviously, yes, as you age, things get harder. Yeah. But it's like you picking up a box off the ground. Yeah. Everyone tries to just grab the box and lift it up with their back, when in reality it's the completely wrong way. So stuff like that, where it's it's absolutely 100% okay for your kids to do it, and then you'll have the complete flip other side. It's like there's no way. Like we just let them play football. It's like, if you're going to hit someone, my man, you're 100% creating force.
Yeah, and that force goes somewhere.
Yep.
It's like basic laws of physics.
Yep. And I tell people all the time, they're like, it's not the same. And I go, it's literally as close as you can get it. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's some people get it. Some people will fight me on it. But most start to understand as they see the session go on with us. And it just starts, they're like, oh, wow. You're doing X, Y, and Z because, all right, so you're trying to do, glute activation and, isometrics to get them to understand how to hold something. Yeah. It's like, yep, there is a logical flow to the entire program. Yeah. It's not me just saying, hey, we're going to go do 50 burpees, 50 mountain climbers.
I'm not doing cardio for like 2 hours.
You'll never see a burpee, or you won't see burpees or mountain climbers. Okay. Nope. So,
I found I think it was a physical therapist whose entire, class was based on becoming a new dad and how to maintain, basically, how you would lift weight. Cause it's in reality, if you lift a kid out of your car seat, what are you doing? You're fully extending your arms. Yep. You're grabbing a sometimes 20-pound weight. You're lifting up in the air with your arms still fully extended and then stepping out of the car. Yep. If you sit down in the car seat next to your kid and do it that way, your center of gravity, everything is drastically different. Yep. And you I still do that. I've thrown my back out before because my son, before he started walking, was probably 20 pounds crawling around, pulling on my leg for me to pick him up. And I didn't squat down and pick him up. I hinged out the waist. Yep. And then immediately was like, oh, that doesn't feel good. And then 2 days later, I went to the chiropractor. Yep.
Oh, it's used all the time. Yeah. But it's funny how it's all interconnected as time goes on.
Well, if I handed you a 50-pound kettlebell and was like, extend your arms fully, hold it like this for 5 minutes. How do you feel right now? It sucks, right? That's how much your child weighs.
Yes. Yep. Oh yeah.
What are you doing?
But people don't think about
They don't. They think of it more functional. Like, well, my kid needed to be picked up, so I picked him up.
Yes.
And you're like, but it's a 25 to 30-pound weight.
Yep.
That's what it is. That's squiggles.
Yep. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing in the workplace. Yeah. don't turn and rotate to pick something up.
Yeah.
Rotate your whole body towards it, then pick it up. So it's eerily similar on all occasions, but at the end of the day, it's, how can I give, I'll say with what I do, how can I give our youth a better perception on fitness?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, just because it is, I can't say it's a life skill, but it's a life hack.
Here I am at 35 learning how to squat instead of hinge at the waist.
Yeah.
Because for this entire time, I was just like, man, I'm fine to hinge. I'm okay. It doesn't matter. Here I am doing yoga every other night or so because my hips and hamstrings are so tight because I'm so bad at squatting. So I'm not against what you're teaching.
Yeah. So it's interesting. And and I think this is always the interesting thing is, everyone assumes kids that play sports should be the ones lifting.
Okay.
But and that's literally what it always talked about.
Yeah.
If you play sports, you need to go lift.
Yeah.
Well, why not teach every kid to do that? Because it is a life hack in so many different ways. And like, we've already brought a majority of those up where like allow kids, like for me, it's if I'm lifting, I thrive on negative comments personally. That's how I work.
Sure.
So a lot different than most people.
Yeah.
But I can express all my frustration and all my anger in my lift.
I gotcha.
Yeah. It is my go-to therapy. Yep. Yeah. So why not teach? And that's like the weird thing with, I can't remember the percentage, but like PE is disappearing in schools.
Oh, is it really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep. So and that's all the physical activity kids get for what? 8 or 9 hours a day.
Yeah.
And they just sit in a desk.
Yeah.
Have terrible posture. And it's bad they're taking away because like if you look at I can't remember what the obesity rate is, but it's absurdly high.
It's not a good rate.
It is absurdly high.
Yeah.
And if you're taking physical performance in the sense of like, we'll say physical education away, we're fighting an uphill battle that I don't think we'll ever win.
Of course, yeah.
Because you're taking away something that is needed for kids to, just express energy.
Yeah.
And now it's, people don't like it because it has a negative kind of, connotation to it with fitness. So trying to get kids and families to understand that like whether you play a sport or not, it is only going to be a hack for longevity for you.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And everyone wants to live and see their kids grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 10-year-old might not understand it now.
No. But
as parents, like you want to live till you're, 90 or 100.
Yeah.
So you can see every event going on. Yeah. Well, do it now.
If my kids have kids, I would like to be physically strong enough to be able to hold their kids.
Yep.
I don't want to, because I've had back surgeries or anything like that, because I was just not squatting.
Yeah.
And
just
it might actually be something that simple. I was like, no, just go on a 30-minute walk.
Yeah.
Just go do that. You'll be fine. It'll make a world of difference.
Yep.
So.
Most of us, they're in an office, in a chair, sitting, not moving. And then you go home and you're probably doing the same thing. Most
of our entertainment is based around sitting and watching.
Yep. So if you can get up, just go for a 30-minute walk.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. I'm a definite slave to the Apple Watch.
Yeah, I thank God I don't have one. Thank God.
It's the completionist in me is like, no, but if I just walk for 10 more minutes, then I close this ring.
Yeah.
Now everything will be better in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, but if it actually gets me up and moving, it's kind of the whole goal.
Yeah, and that's fine. Technology has advanced so much in that term, in a good way, where it is easier to track, but people don't have the instruction or knowledge to go do it that much. So being able to, like there's so many people that are, we'll say inspirational for in whatever way on social media.
Yeah.
If that's what gets you up and going and like technology is part of it,
cool.
More power to you.
Yep. I think an Apple Watch is just a mirror to me where I'll look down and be like, oh, I've walked a mile today. What time is it? It's 1 p.m. Go walk another mile.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have the mirror in front of me, I would be like, oh, cool, I'm fine for the day.
Yeah.
So it helps with that.
Yes.
People can be ridiculous about it, but I feel it's a good metric of looking up and being like, I haven't moved much today. How do you know? Because this thing that tracks if I move or not is telling me I'm not. So go move.
Yes.
Cool. I feel better about myself.
Which is, I mean, it's awesome that like those tools are out there, and it's really helpful. I know, like my partner wears the Whoop band.
Oh, I don't even know what that is. Yeah.
I mean, it basically tells you like how hard you've worked or like how much, I'll say, stress you have, essentially, or strain, I think they label it as. And, it'll show your recovery.
Yeah. Those.
So it's awesome to be able to see because like I had one and I could literally tell when I was going to get sick.
Yeah. Because
of where my strain and stress and my recovery was at.
Fascinating.
And the heart rate and everything. So
those metrics are equally fascinating, and I'm like, please don't tell me them.
Yes. Yep. So. I don't blame you on that. I don't. That's why. I mean, if I had an Apple Watch, I know if my wife was here, she'd say it'd either be gone in a day or it'd be broken in a day.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Just
who you are.
That's memory. I can't remember where I put things, or I forget it's on my wrist, and I'm working out, and
you break it somehow and don't realize it.
Yep. That's why we don't wear any. Nope, not at all. So it's. I mean, I love technology, but I just don't like it on my wrist.
But you're you.
Yes. I am me. I am a Nashville father.
There you go. How you're having when's your second kid going to be born?
I believe it's August 16th or 18th.
Okay, nice. How do you feel about having a girl?
Terrified.
Really? Why is that?
Oh my God, terrified. Just terrified. Knowing me, I know my flaws.
Okay.
I'll be protective as
of course.
As probably more than any other dad out there.
Yeah.
And I think more so it's I'll say I'm scared as a father just because of what goes on in the generations today.
Oh yeah. No, I have 2 daughters. There's somewhere I'm like, the stuff that happened whenever we were teenagers, I understand how to predict. And I feel like anything with like internet bullying, all of that, I'm like, this wasn't as much of a thing whenever I was a kid. And I feel like the anxiety I have around it is trying to figure, I want to be able to lead my kids through life as best as I can. Yep. And there's so many things in life that I don't understand, and fear and anxiety naturally comes from that.
Yep. So that's
especially for daughters. I have my worries for my 2 daughters versus my son, extremely different worries.
Yes. I just, I'll say, this will come off quite different for most people that probably listen, is I am a large person. I'm a big guy. I pray my son is as big as I am, is that way he can protect my daughter.
Sure, yeah.
And that's it. That way I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So it's great, but it'll be different in, just because it's my daughter. I don't worry. I mean, I know I will worry about my son, but
it's different. I understand.
So I'm excited by all means, but it's a hot topic in our household just because I'm a bigger dude and really don't take things too well.
I got you.
In some regards where it's like, oh man, if I have a daughter, she comes home with a guy on her first date. Oh man, I can only imagine what's going to go through my mind.
Yeah, of course. Because you're trusting that someone won't hurt your daughter in some way or use your daughter in some way.
So
and someone has to prove to you that they won't. And they're already fighting an uphill battle.
Yes.
So you're like, man, whoever comes home for their first date with my daughter, I'm sorry, because you're going to have to prove a lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. I can only imagine, like, who that person will end up meeting, too. Yeah. And that's what's even funnier, because there's a large supporting cast around with my friends. So I can only imagine if we were in Illinois, what would happen if my daughter was, 15 or 16 and, you got, a cop, you got a couple that are in the Army.
Yeah. Do you have a pretty big family back home?
Not too much.
Okay.
Mom, dad, brother.
Okay.
But I can only imagine what my dad would do.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah, because you probably learned the sense of protection from your family.
Oh yeah. So it'll be
a watered down version of it.
Yes. it'll be interesting. But I mean, I'm sure you obviously worked through it and figured it out.
You do,
but
yes.
It's
But if asking you for your unborn daughter, how do you feel about it? You're like, oh man, I'm going to protect that. I'm going to protect her. I'm going to keep her safe.
Oh, absolutely.
And so will my family.
Yep. And I hope she, obviously like anyone, I think just, you want your son or daughter to be, a good kid, right? Well-mannered, well-respected, but at the same time, a phenomenal citizen to wherever you live.
Yeah.
Is that's how I've always thought about what I do is I want to build more mature, men and women, or teenagers, so to speak, and make sure they understand how they affect society.
Yeah.
So like I've taken kids from my old gym where basically like we'd go do, some kind of good deed. I remember one year took out, X amount of money and was basically like, all right, we're going to pick like 8 different places. We're going to essentially go. Most of the people I knew where I was going, so I could ask the manager, hey, we're going to, we got $150 for this family or a family. Do you know anyone you can give it to right now and just pay for the meal?
Yeah.
Where being able to expose kids to that is, they don't think of it, but it's like you see it on the other side where it's like you start to see their reaction in the background, and it's like of the family you did it for. And like after we did it, all the kids are like, oh my God. I said, yeah. Said it. So if you can understand, like, our society needs people like that. They need people to not only look out for each other, but to continue to prosper, our entire world.
Yeah.
But most people don't want to think like that.
You have to be very intentional about it.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in karma.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it was my mom's mom, so my grandma.
Yeah.
Her golden rule was do unto others as you'd want them to do to you.
Yeah, of course.
And that's always hit home with me, especially with what I do, since I do work with the youth, and obviously having a son and to-be daughter is, getting them to understand, really how to be just a good
decent
human
person, just a decent person. That's it.
So, and I think that's one of my biggest worries is I want to make sure they're well-mannered and well-respected in the sense of they respect themselves and others, but they're good to other people.
Yeah.
I think that you brought it up with how society is today. It's, oh my God, it's crazy.
It takes a lot of intention. I think to be a decent person, it takes, with yoga, you always set your intention before you do a yoga practice. You just have to somehow center yourself whenever you start your day and be like, all right, today I'm going to try to look for the ways to be a little bit more kind today than I was yesterday.
Yep.
And that's just all you can hope to do.
And it's
a really simple mantra, really simple way to go about life, but it's really difficult at the same time.
Yes. So, but yeah, for all you out there, it'll be interesting having a daughter.
Yep.
Everyone asked that question though. Like, you are going to be that dad. I said, yes.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
And it
you said you be home at 10. It's 10 and 5 seconds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. There is no doubt in my mind. And I know if my wife will listen to this.
Yeah.
If I don't say I'm going to be that way,
You're just lying to everyone.
I'm 100% going to be that way. There's no doubt in my mind. I already know it.
Yes.
I can already tell you what, it's going to happen.
Besides your paranoia about her, is there anything you're excited about having a daughter as well as a son?
I think it's, really just, I think with what I do, my family life, my, personal life, I think just being along for the ride is really the important thing to me, being present.
Yep.
So I'm really excited just to really just, everyone talks about the milestones of, the first step, every X, Y, and Z, which are all important. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But once they get into, grade school, that's when you start to, for me, I know I'll have a lot of fun then because I am a child as it comes. I know that. I am 32, but I act like I'm 15.
Sure.
So being able to have, those experiences with them is what I'm really excited about. Yeah. But by all means, obviously, I love spending time with my 2-year-old. Yeah. There's no doubt. We act like little kids. So it makes it even more fun for me.
It does. Not for your wife, but
no, yeah, because that's where the craziness comes from.
Of course.
But I think, having those experiences, whether it is together or separate with them, you'll have your each own individual experience, but I think that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
You know, obviously I'm terrified of, my daughter trying on her first dress. But in reality, that's terrifying, but I know it's going to be probably one of the experience I'll probably remember forever. Yeah. Or first homecoming, all that stuff. So stuff like that, I'm excited about it to experience, but in reality, just, being there is the biggest thing.
And you get to do it at all. It's just awesome.
I'm very fortunate. I know anyone listening, if you are a dad, you get so caught up in everything else that's going on. And there are, a lot of different stimuli and stress out there, but I always have to bring myself back in. It's like, oh, I got to climb up some, random ladders today and go throw random stuff in the yard and get yelled at. We both get yelled at by my wife. So mom and wife start yelling at both of us. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great day.
It's great. It's fun.
So stuff like that I'm excited for. And, the learning experiences that comes with it. Like you said, I'm sure I'll treat different scenarios differently with both of them, but, really just in the moment, be in the moment. And I think that's what I'm most excited for as time goes on, so I pray it's not crazy, but
you know what? It will be in some ways.
Oh yeah.
And you'll just look at your wife and be like, what did we do?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I asked myself that with our son Cash. Oh, where did he learn that from?
Nice.
And it's always...
Yeah, it's me.
Yep.
It's me. You have the tattoo of Cash on your arm?
Yep.
Sweet. Nice.
So it's always going to be blamed on me.
Yeah, of course.
It's okay.
And you're like, I probably did it.
Yeah. I'll take full blame for everything that goes on over the next 17, 18 years. Once
around
18.
15 or 16, you're like, no, that one's on you, man. I can't cover for
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we get to 14, 13, 12.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, man.
That one wasn't me.
Yeah, that was you. I learned that from you, though.
It's like, no, not like that. You didn't.
Yeah, you were told not to do that.
Yes,
but you did it.
But you winked. No, I had something in my eye. But you told me you had something in your eye as a joke. No. This was the time I wasn't joking.
Yes. So, in reality, I'm looking forward to all of it.
Yeah,
it's cool. Just it'll be a fun experience, and obviously, I've had a good experience with working with so many kids that I've had the fortune of, or I won't say fortune, the fortunate experience of seeing so many kids grow up over the years and, I'll say develop and mature mentally. Yeah. Where you start to see, I've seen that happen so many times. Yeah. In a positive way. And, I've had kids that don't like to take direction at all, even if it is from me. But with what I do, it's either you're either in or you're out.
Kind of, yeah.
So it's, how to reel those kids in. Yeah. And, once they start to change, it's, that's what I love to see. Yeah. And I'm assuming with them being my own kids that it's only going to be even more fun to see those changes go on. So I've waited, I've worked with everyone else's kid. Yeah. But now I get to have my own experience, which is going to be fun.
Yeah, it will be. I'll be intrigued to see how you deal with it, because I feel like there's some sense of it's so close to home because it's your kids. Yes. So I'll be intrigued to see I hope you have the space to sit there and be like, okay, cool. I acted this way. This is how I normally talk to a kid, but since it's my kid, I felt different because it's so close to me. So I hope you have a good support system around you where you can admit, how do I take a step back from this? Because this is my son, so I'm treating it differently because it's my son. Yes. But I know how to do this, but it's my son.
Yes. So yeah. And luckily I've, obviously with us moving here, I've, I have two friends that are actually from my hometown here.
Oh, cool.
But, I'm sure I'll go to my business partner and just say, hey, you have a daughter and two sons. I need the whole textbook. Just give it to me. Yeah. But it's, it's funny is that obviously my business partner is, phenomenal man, phenomenal human, phenomenal dad. He's a girl dad and a boy dad. Yeah. But it's, it's really interesting to see what he's done with his kids in such a positive way. So I'm always like picking things up, even though they're older. Like I think they're fourth grade, ninth grade, 11th grade.
Yeah.
So wide variety. So it's interesting seeing like how well they handle everything.
Yeah.
So I've sat there and it's like, I need to take that from my notebook later.
Yeah. Right.
I'm gonna write that one down.
Yeah.
So there, and obviously with both our parents, there's definitely a very wide support system.
Cool.
So it'll be terrifying, but
yeah, of course. But it should be. If you're like, no, I got this, I'd be like, oh, you're about to be humbled.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And there's no doubt I would be lying if, I'm confident, but at the same time I'm so terrified.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it though.
Yeah.
But it's a learning process like everything else.
Yeah, of course.
And that's, I get to do that every day with everyone else's kids. So being able to figure out and navigate with my own
that's cool.
Be a little bit different.
Yeah, but really rewarding at the same time.
Yeah. I'm hoping I've learned enough with everyone else's children that's
where all your mistakes were made.
Yes, I know how to handle everything that comes to my way.
But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Especially,
or you'll be paying for the therapy later. One of the two.
Yeah, I can't imagine what cash is going to become. So
yeah,
I can actually.
He'll become you. So you have some. It'll become.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
What it was kind of funny. I do the baked goods for everyone whenever they come on and stuff. And even before I messaged you, I was like, this guy runs a gym and does weightlifting. I don't think flour and sweets is what he'll want. Do you care about nutrition a lot? Like, is nutrition a big thing to you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, it's built into,
it's pretty
everything.
Big. Yeah.
So it's, it's really, and it's always funny. Like you ask a kid, it's like, all right, man, you need to gain weight.
Yeah.
Well, I eat so much.
I can eat a lot too.
I eat every hour, every 2 hours. I said, you don't. Write everything down. Send a picture of everything you eat. And it comes out to like 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
Or it's like 2,000 calories of Taco Bell. So it's, but you can find ways to make it a lot more enjoyable and feasible for people.
Yeah.
It just, it all goes back to understanding like what they don't like, and stuff like that. So it's a big part of it. Obviously little kids, you're not really honing in on that aspect. It's more of your high school and up age groups that you're really focusing on it, and adults as well. So it's a massive part of it because at the end of the day, people think they eat the right stuff or they have the right setup macro-wise, but in reality, they're usually wrong. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, I feel sluggish every day. It's like, well, let's do it this way, see how your body reacts, and then we can start to see, if there are, we'll say, physical changes that happen, and if your energy level is up or down, because usually people, I'm going to eat pizza, bagels, God knows what else at work.
Just carbs and sugar.
So it's, when you start to feed your body like the actual proper way, your energy levels go through the roof.
And I feel like you have to actually do it for like a month.
Yeah.
Because if I was like, hey man, don't eat bread for a week, you'd be like, oh, I just have a headache. This sucks. I'm eating bread again. Yeah. But if you don't eat bread for like a full month, you're like, oh, I don't have it. Like, I think clearly, but there's a list of benefits that can come from not doing something. But it takes about a month before your body is like, oh, we're doing this. All right, let's go.
Yep. So it's a massive part, but people, I think, overcomplicate it. Just like with what I do, people try to do really crazy, outlandish stuff. Yeah. When in reality, science has proven it doesn't really need to be that crazy. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with nutrition. It's, hit your protein, your carbs, and your fats, and it will adjust. It might start high, but you adjust it down as you go on, and you'll start to figure out, hey, I lost, 2.5 pounds this week. All right, the next week you lost another pound. Next week you lost another, but the fourth week you're kind of stagnant. Yeah. All right, we adjust it again. Yeah. So being able to do that, and it's not as complicated as everyone thinks.
No, I think it's really hard to remember, like every day your body is different.
Yep.
So it's like, all right, today you ate too much protein. What about tomorrow? Cut it back on the protein. I feel like a lot of people view it as like, this is now my diet. I cannot defer from this at all. And you're like, well, let's just like see what you're doing today. Like, is it if you my wife and I always talk about this of like, okay, you're going to a kid's birthday party today. What does it mean? You're going to eat cake today. Okay, so don't eat any other treats today. And tomorrow probably don't eat a treat. Why?
Yeah.
Because you're going to a kid's birthday party. You're going to eat cake.
Yeah. And if
don't hate yourself because you ate birthday cake. You're at a kid's birthday party. You're going to do it. So just tomorrow, don't eat more cake.
Yeah.
That's it. Just have some balance. That's it.
And that's the big thing is like, obviously if you're not competing or anything like that, like, like you can make up for it as, as the week goes on. But, obviously if you're, we'll say a higher level competitor.
Oh yeah, that's a different world.
Yeah, that's a different part. But if you're a normal person, like you're really just trying to figure out and navigate, your everyday choices.
Yeah,
and the reality is really what's going on. It's I can either bring my food with me or I can just go out.
Yep.
So trying to get people to. I mean, the hardest part is time for people.
Yeah,
time to cook all the food. I mean, thank God for, what is that, like the Ninja?
Oh, yeah, the air fryer and stuff.
Air fryer and the pressure cooker, too.
And,
oh, my God.
That thing's going to save a lot
that
of time.
thing is a life changer and a game changer. So, I mean, stuff like that, just trying to figure out like how to, I'll say, make some food in bulk that you really like.
Yeah.
And being able to, change it up however you need to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm obsessed with, like, hot sauce. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
So
what's your favorite type of hot sauce?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Have you hit up any of the farmers markets in town yet?
No.
Okay.
I know there's an
Hot Sauce Nashville.
Yes.
He was on our podcast a month ago.
So I was like,
makes good stuff.
I was like, oh,
I'm gonna give him a free advertisement right now.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh my God. I'll have to definitely get some of that. But I mean, adding different additives like that.
Yeah.
Where it keeps it not as boring.
Pretty much.
Really, you don't want to eat plain chicken.
No.
Season however you want. And I love hot sauce and different mustard. So.
Oh, yeah. Good grainy mustard, man, changes the game.
So doing stuff like that just to keep it interesting is, it helps a lot.
Yeah. I'll do a lot of like, where I'll just roast like chicken and do like sweet potatoes and broccoli or something like that. I just change up the seasoning packet on the chicken and it keeps it interesting. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be that crazy.
It doesn't.
And you can make things, I mean, majority of the time you can get Tupperware that is just massive.
Yeah, you can.
And fill it with rice, fill it with your chicken and just go. I mean, I know I never thought of it to this day until, I moved here and I lived with my business partner.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I never thought of it, but they have scissors that are obviously specifically for cutting meat.
Yeah.
Never thought of it ever. And it's been the biggest hack I've ever used so far.
Gosh, yeah.
Where I'm just cutting my chicken. It's like, oh my God, I don't know why I didn't think of this.
Yeah.
I never thought of it ever. And
there's so many things in life where you look up and you're like, I made this so much harder for so many years.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because I remember one day I was cutting, I think chicken they made.
Is that raw or cooked chicken?
Cooked.
Okay, cool.
All of a sudden I was like, wait, they're cutting the chicken with scissors.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, this takes, oh my God.
Yeah. So do you have a KitchenAid mixer?
I think we do.
Okay. If you have that and you have like the paddle attachment, you can take cooked chicken and throw it in there and then you turn it on with the paddle attachment and it shreds it for you.
Oh, that's a life hack too.
So that one saves a lot of time.
Oh yeah.
Also, because shredding chicken or shredding meat, I feel like I'm sitting there and I'm like, this takes so long. But yeah, after you cook it, while it's still a little warm, if you throw it in the KitchenAid mixer in like the bowl with the paddle attachment and turn it on real quick, it'll shred it basically like immediately. So you can do that for like chilies and stuff and casseroles, and it works out real well.
So it's, I mean,
oh yeah,
just trying to figure out what people like is really the, if you know what you like and you can, everyone thinks that, like you said, you brought up a really good point is, you have to stay to, this diet.
This or a failure.
But if you can use other foods, you might have to, I'll say like calculate it and just add it up differently because there'll probably most likely be different nutritional information on it compared to whatever you had. But doesn't mean you can't change it.
Yeah.
Like I'm obsessed with bagels. I love my bagel.
Yeah.
And I had I was doing one where it was like, I have to have, what is that? A muffin or, why can't I think of the word? Oh man. God, whatever. But
wait, what's it have? What are you trying to describe?
I mean, what do you put on an egg muffin? The bread.
Oh, like an English muffin?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I had that. And I was like, you know what? Scrap this. Like, I want a bagel because that's my obsessive part.
Yeah.
And just switched it out, and I had to adjust a couple other things, but you can always change things.
Yeah, you can.
And just you got to figure out like the information, and that's really it. Like, there's the diabetic exchange where literally it just lists out like, hey, a bagel is 38 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to have 42. Okay, well, you're under a little bit.
Yeah.
So great. Awesome.
Yeah.
You can always put in 4 more grams of something else. So you can literally go through the list and like anything from breads, nuts, any kind of, pasta, meats, whatever.
Yeah.
And it just literally lists everything out, and you're like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
I have 100 grams of carbs today, so I'm going to do rice and pasta. This is how much, all right, rice makes, half cup is X amount of carbs.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And here we go.
Done.
Yeah.
So there is information to make it a lot easier, and there's apps to do it. Like
a lot. Yeah.
I know my partner's app, the Tiger Fitness training app, that thing is nuts.
Yeah.
From meal plans, scanning food, like training programs.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So there's apps out there like
if you want to open that door, there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So being able to like have that at people's disposal, I think it makes life a lot easier. Yeah. And it's free, actually.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So
there's now.
Oh no, that one will be that'll be free.
Cool.
Unless you want to do the training with us, and then I make custom programs.
Oh, cool.
Obviously you can do that too, but being able to do those where you're really using the app, like anything from walking. Cool. Like you can track all your cardio, you can track your meals, you'll get a meal plan, you can pick training options. Or obviously, like you said, like I can create an entire custom plan for it.
Yeah.
And it's, there's a lot of different ways you can find, information on whether it is nutrition, training, lifestyle, so to speak, where, I think that's the bad thing about what I do, because anyone thinks they can do it. Yeah. If you look on social media, it's
I studied recording engineering. So when someone's like, I know how to record something, I'm like,
yep.
I have a lot of notes.
Yes. So I do it all the time where it's, people are like, well, I can, I do this and
I eat great.
And that means I can prescribe someone's, program. It's like, you can't even put A, B, and C together and tell me it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what I eat on a regular basis because you're going to be like, oh, man, you need to change this and but I don't want to change, so I'm not going to have the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, but it's funny is like you want to make the hardest part of you is it's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
for people, like it's not normal. Yeah, right. I mean, it is and it isn't, but people are uncomfortable. But the reality is, like, my job is to help, whether it is an athlete or an adult client. Like we work with, actually, I think we work with a WWE wrestler, Sheamus.
Yeah.
Him and my partner work out together, and I program and coach all of it. That's
pretty cool.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. I know you've been posting on Instagram with him. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty legit.
It's great. It's crazy. And that's a very, very extreme aspect.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
But the reason I say that is they're both different.
Yeah.
So, and they react differently to everything, where it's the same thing with, regular people, where we want to make sure we're creating a program that is, challenge you depending on like your experience level. But, if you've never done it, then we just want you to move more at the end of the day. So even if it is small, easy, simple things, like we're just trying to increase movement, trying to increase, cardio, because your heart is a muscle. Yep. So we do have to train it. Yep. So, and it doesn't mean it has to be crazy. Go for a walk.
Yeah, pretty much. Walk a little faster.
Yep.
You'll be good.
So being able to prescribe, like really build a plan for anyone that's new.
Yeah.
Anyone that has experience, or, higher level people that we have, where I have pros, I have Mark and Sheamus. Obviously Mark is a he's a pro bodybuilder and Seamus is a pro wrestler. So I have, and I have NFL guys. I have, guys that should be drafted next year in the NFL.
Sweet. About as high level of performance of the human body as you can get.
Yeah. I have a
versus like a kid who you're like, oh, just go on a walk today. You'll be fine.
I have varying different levels. And that's the fun thing is though, I love being able to, challenge myself with what I do with Mark and Seamus and other pros and experienced people. At the same time, it's, I want to give kids and, any client we have the confidence to take on what they're doing.
Yeah.
And, we'll have mishaps. It is what it is. Everyone has mishaps.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a pro or not, but getting people to understand like the new lifestyle they want to do, but not forcing it on people.
Of course.
Like, that's the hard part is like, you want them to get better, but you can't push and push and push.
They've also got to want it.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a interesting equation that goes on, but it's, whether you're new or you're a pro, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I can formulate anything.
Yeah. Do you think with nutrition stuff, do you make your son eat a certain way, or are you just like, oh my God, if you eat, that's fine?
I mean, when they're grown up, I think it's going to be just, making sure we get, the normal food groups. I think for like everyone does it with their child.
Ketchup is a food group, just to confirm, correct?
and it's just making sure, really it's just at that time, it's just having a healthy child.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then like if there are aspirations to, as a lot of time goes on, to that he wants to do more. Yeah. That'll be the biggest thing.
You'll be a great resource then.
Yes, I'll be phenomenal if he wants to do that. Well, that'll be a whole different ballgame.
Yes,
but
it will be, yes.
He has to want it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't want it for him. And I deal with that. I've dealt with that my entire career where it's, parents want it more.
Yeah.
And you can see it in the kid, but if you understand, like on my end, if that's the issue or problem, like there's ways to navigate it in the sense of getting the kid to understand and enjoy it more and trying to find the common line. Because most of the time, like if that happens, like the kid doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, usually.
They just, my mom brought me today. She made me come. Okay.
All right, man.
All right. And then but at the end of the day, you have to connect with that kid.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing for me. It's like if Cash doesn't want to do it, then
he doesn't want to do it.
We don't do it.
Yep.
So that'll be an interesting topic.
Yeah. That's one of my knowing when to encourage your kid to do more and when to acknowledge they're actually communicating with you as your kids get older is a very weird thing to figure out. Like my oldest daughter, my middle child did gymnastics, so the older one wanted to do it. And then that one day she's like, I don't like this anymore. I was like, okay, well, now we're going to have a full conversation. What do you not like about it? Well, this is hard. Do you think you can, like, what is hard about that? But do you think you can talk to one of the teachers about how to make it easier? Like, we did like 2 weeks of conversing with her before. I was like, oh, you're just communicating to me you don't like this, so we shouldn't do this anymore.
Yes.
So knowing it's a very difficult line because you want to believe in your kid and be like, oh, you can do this if you want to. But also when they're looking at you and saying, I don't like this, there's a reason they're looking at you and saying, I don't like this.
Yep.
So
it's
that's not my favorite line to figure out. Is like, because I don't want to sit there and be like, you don't like it, you're done.
Yeah.
Because like then I'm teaching you all you have to do is raise your hand and I'm going to tell you that's fine, get out.
Exactly.
And I don't want to do that. I myself don't want to do that. I don't want to look up and say this is hard and someone say fine, don't do it anymore. Yep. I want someone to be like, hey man, can you like what are the different angles that you weren't thinking of? Is there another way you can process this? Because maybe you can do this.
But that is the easiest way.
Yeah, it is.
We're done.
Yeah,
so
we're done.
it's
but it's really hard.
It's I mean there's like you said, finding every angle is the hardest part because no one really wants to think outside the box. It's like, well, she's just sitting on the bench. It's like, well, okay, can we figure something out to, we'll just say in my world, it's all right. Well, she's not playing. Okay. Can we do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah. Can
we get her faster or stronger or, more agile? Is that going to help? Or is it, the other side of it? Is it, she doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
She has had a terrible experience. So it's a
dance.
It really is.
Yep.
And it's, and my world, it's literally like you're a father to all these kids.
Yeah.
Like that's the weird part is like, you like these kids will come to, it's like, well, I'm not playing at all. Like I played 2 minutes in our game. It's like, okay, I just want to quit. It's like, well, no.
Yeah.
I will not let
I can't
you do that. I
can't let you do that. Yeah.
And like, even though I'm not their, parental figure, it's like, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
And I have kids in college that they'll still call me. It's like, I'm transferring.
Yeah.
Oh, why? Well, I'm not playing. I said, you're 3 weeks into your freshman year.
Why would you be playing then?
Yeah. You're not expected to play.
Yeah.
Well, I've always played. It said, it doesn't work like that anymore.
Yep.
So,
and you're going to be okay. That's the other aspect of it is like, you're right. What you just walked into isn't what you anticipated. You're okay.
Yep.
You're all right.
So it's you hit it on the head. It's just trying to navigate and really fine tune and figure out like how to actually speak to, like, whether it is kids or your actual kid is how to speak them and walk through the process.
Yeah.
Because too many times it's, all right, yeah, you can be done.
Yep.
But then that triggers so much more.
It does.
And and that's the bad thing about, I think, we'll say this time in life for kids, is that it's just so easy to walk away from anything or any confrontation is it's just text message. Hey, I really didn't like what you did today. Yeah. Oh, can we have a conversation of what happened and we can figure it out?
Side to this. Yeah.
So I think it's an issue that's, I think most people really don't pay attention to too much, because it's people let it off like it's too easy. It's like, all right, if you don't like it, we're done. Yeah. Like you said. And we'll move on.
Man, to extrapolate that way too much is like, in what relationship do you have in which you have one fight and you're done? Unless it's like the worst fight you've ever had in your life. But like, if me and my wife have a disagreement and we're like, all right, we're done with this. It's like, oh no, that's not how a life should work. Yep. Like, because the reality is that like, how I view things is different than how most people view things. Yep. So if I anticipate everyone to be on the same page as me, I think that's narcissism. I think.
Yeah. I'm. Yeah.
All right. So how we end our episodes is we do like 5 icebreakers. Mm-hmm. What were your kids' backup names?
Oh man.
This one's also funny because it's normally the wife who knows all the backup names, and some husbands are like, "Oh, I've."
Oh yeah, I can't lie. I was dead stuck on Cash, and I wouldn't budge.
Was that before you even moved to Nashville? Because I feel like Cash is a very okay.
Yeah, that was so what, 2 years ago. That was even before we knew we were coming here. Yeah. I was dead
Cash
red.
And there's Cash.
Yep, there is nothing else.
What about Cash? Why the name Cash?
So she actually came up with it, and she told me one day, and it was from, I think it was what movie was that? I think it was Bohemian Rhapsody.
Sure.
I believe his sister is Cash. Or I can't remember the scenario, but
sure.
She told me the name. I just didn't really remember the story.
Yeah.
And once she said it, I was done. I wouldn't budge.
And you don't have to reveal the name of your daughter on this podcast.
Oh, no. There's a good amount of names.
Okay.
But I think we actually finally might have agreed. So I'm shocked. Yeah. Because truly I'm the picky one. So I'm very interested to see if that she keeps that, but
we'll see.
I doubt it.
It's also weird to name someone who you've never met before.
Yeah. And she changes her mind
a
lot. I'm stuck on it.
Yep. So we'll see. We'll in August we'll check back in with you and ask you that question again. Next question. Do you have a favorite TV dad?
Ooh, boy. I don't know.
You don't?
No.
Did you watch any shows growing up or anything? Or are you mostly just playing sports all day?
A lot of sports. I love like crime movies.
Okay.
Or like crime shows.
Usually father figures aren't the best.
Yeah. So
they're more the perpetrator on the stand.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Do you have a coach or like a player that's like your favorite, like almost like a father figure like? Or is there like a coach or anyone who you've modeled yourself after in any way?
You're
from Chicago, so it can't be Michael Jordan.
No. I'd say it'd be more on the personal side.
Okay.
My godfather, in real life, was a phenomenal man. Mm-hmm. And he actually got me to be baptized.
Oh, sweet.
And that was like 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So it was he had a very profound effect on me in a positive way. So he's always something I look to. And obviously there are my friends' parents that obviously my parents have rubbed off me.
Of course.
My wife's. Yeah. But my friends' parents have also, like, God, all my friends that I still talk to this day, that there's probably 8 of us. I'd say like 4 of us are really close, where I probably took something from all of them.
Sweet. Yeah.
So same.
You're a community guy. That's cool.
Trying.
Yeah. Yeah. Next question. Do you have a least favorite kids show or movie? Like whenever your son goes to put it on, you're like, oh God, not this again.
He loves Toy Story.
Okay.
But I think we watched Toy Story probably 1,000 times. So right now it's Toy Story.
Toy Story. Is it the first one specifically, or any of the 4?
Any of the 4. Okay. We've watched but Luca was the first one.
Yeah.
And
you're like, I'm good.
Me and Luca were ready to fight after a couple months.
It's a weird emotion to have, right?
Yes.
But I think every parent has it, where your kid's like, I need to watch. Like my kids for last week have been into a Disney show called Super Kitties, where it's I've heard of it. Every time they put it on, I'm like, oh my God, I think the dishes need to be done. I'm going to vacuum behind you.
Yep. So I definitely say
this show.
It's Toy Story right now.
Okay. That's fair. Which is funny, because
as sad as it is.
Did you grow up watching Toy Story?
Yeah, I love Toy Story.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now I despise it. Yeah, I despise it right now.
There's not a lot of movies you can watch once a day, every single day, and be like, this is still a good program.
Yes. Yeah. We're Toy Story, sadly.
Do you have a favorite kid's toy? Like whenever your son goes to play with it, it's actually like fun for you to play with also?
I mean,
you can also say just run around and being silly.
I think that's probably it, because
he's 2
and we like to climb on things and jump and fall. So we are very identical when it comes to that. So I'll say that.
That's awesome. You've already pretty much answered this, but the last question is, what moments of your kid's life are you most excited to be a part of?
I think just in all reality, being present.
Just any of it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think it's, I remember growing up, I have a lot of memories with my parents, but also all of my friends and their parents. And I think that's the present aspect that I'm going after, is being able to see whether it is a negative or positive moment. Yeah. Being there and, being present during those, and
just writing it out.
Teaching. Yep. And ride along as we go on.
Sweet. Well, that's the 5 questions.
I love those.
Those are
good.
Appreciate it. If people want to follow you, like on Instagram, like what's the best way to follow you?
So it'd be at Bryce Biel, BryceBiel. Or our gym is Legacy at Carbon. They're in Franklin. And then I'd say easiest other one would be Twitter, same thing. Okay. Bryce Biel.
Sweet.
So all the same. Yeah. Bryce.
We'll tag you in the post on Instagram and everything, so people can go back to that.
Yep.
But Bryce, thanks so much for being on.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's
Absolutely.
Been fun. Yeah. Thanks again for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Nashville Dads, and to subscribe to us on Apple and Spotify podcast. We record at New Light Podcast Studio, and episodes are produced by me, Devin.